So you guys have something really exciting that just came out. You have an incredible cover of "Gimme Shelter" by the Rolling Stones. Which is, I mean, it must be quite the cover to tackle. I mean, huge shoes to fill. However, you guys did an incredible job. Talk to me about
so much.
For sure. What went into this cover exactly, and why did you pick this song by the Rolling Stones?
Well, actually, when we were freaking out here in isolation in Montreal for a few months, we really didn't know what to do with ourselves. We were halfway through recording an album with the legendary Bob Rock in Bryan Adams' studio in Vancouver. And then suddenly we were supposed to go back there in March to finish the record, and we couldn't. So instead, we're at home looking back and forth at each other. So what are we going to do with our time? And we started, recording little songs we love in isolation. So we started this little project. Every week we would release a song, and one of them was the Rolling Stones. We've always loved this song of "Gimme Shelter." I absolutely adore, the energy of the song, and the vocals are just, they're mind blowing. And it was really, really fun to take it on as a project, and really incredible that, it was picked up and was so well received. It's just something that we recorded at home,
Exactly. So who's the production mastermind here for the group?
I mean, we split pretty equally. I mean, sometimes I work on the video, sometimes I work on the audio. Dave definitely has more of his hand in the audio stuff, as he owns a recording studio. So we can talk about that. He mixed the whole thing.
I mean, the project was kind of like an 8-song series, and "Gimme Shelter" became kind of like a highlight for the project. It just kind of picked up a little more momentum than the others. Was getting some airplay on a bunch of radio stations across Canada. Here in Montreal, it got played pretty heavily. And I mean, for us, it was a project to keep us busy while we were all locked away in our homes. And I think maybe it was just something about the vocal performance that brought, something new to the song, or, maybe Leela's vocal performance just kind of was a little, extraordinary, for
Very
a
much
cover
so.
of a Rolling Stones song. You don't expect necessarily that, powerful women's lead voice on a Rolling Stones song. I mean, Mick Jagger is a legend, don't get me wrong, but, Leela's a legend too.
Oh, thank you.
Absolutely. So I'm curious, what's it like approaching something like this from home versus in an outside environment? What for each of you, what's the main difference, and which one do you prefer?
Obviously outside.
You prefer the outside? Why is that?
Well, because we're what's magic about this group is when we get together, what comes of it, and the distance on computer. Yes, we hadn't been able to jam for many months, so it did feel really great because we recorded everything from our own homes, but I'm still recording to Tom's guitar that he recorded at home, Leela's vocal that she recorded at home, Dave recorded at Freak Shop, so it's still them, but at a distance. So at the time it was great, but now we're jamming in real life and it's 10 million times better.
So you guys are able to do that now?
Yeah, yes. I mean, we've got our little bubble going here, and I mean, we've got a lot of projects in the works, so we kind of approach it in the most cautious way possible, looking at our schedules, trying to avoid contact with other people and all that stuff. It's just the reality of what it is, The song itself, we did separately, and I found it incredibly challenging, despite how simple, the drum arrangement is on that song. I mean, for me to sit in the studio by myself and play to a click track and somebody's pre-recorded guitar it's kind of cold, So I mean, the four of us, we play together, we record together, we love each together and argue together. So it's like, the isolation is very challenging to, give rock and roll the feel that rock and roll needs. Rock and roll needs feel, rock and roll needs emotion, rock and roll needs, you gotta, it's not rock and roll unless you feel the highs and the lows. So to record these isolation covers was kind of like, okay, but very hard,
Yeah. I think also what made, beside the technical point of how we record the song and stuff, I think also what made that song and that release special was that it was all happening during the Black Lives Matter protests. Mm-hmm. And I don't know how it was in Edmonton, but here in Montreal, it was pretty wild. I mean, people were on the street during COVID, getting together, destroying downtown, basically. And we were just sitting at home watching TV and watching all this happening to our city. And I mean, for the life of me, like, artists, like, didn't say anything. Like nobody, people were like, I support the cause and whatever. But like, I don't know, the song came to my head and I was just like, this is so appropriate for the times. I mean, what kind of a world do we live in where, like, artists don't say anything? So I felt like we needed to say something. And that song, even though we didn't write the lyrics, felt so close to home. So it all happened very quickly. It had, like, the riots happened, I think the same night or maybe the morning after we recorded the song, and it was out the following Friday,
Yeah, I remember the rush on that one. In the video, you can see I'm wearing like sunglasses and a hat. I was having a horrible day that day. I got home from work kind of really late, and I had to get it done like now, And like Dave said, it's an easy song in a way when you're jamming with people, but when it's cold and to a click to give it feel and everything.
Right.
I remember at one point I put on the glasses and hat because I was like, I just look too pissed off for this fucking video.
You had to hide it somehow.
I had to hide it somehow.
That's classic though. So it really is about the sort of the feel, the warmth. I don't know how we've heard various terms thrown around here, but it all seems to mean the same thing. It's just that in-person live element. So when you guys are typically recording, let's say like pre-COVID, are you doing live recordings where you're all playing at the same time, or is it all separate parts?
Absolutely. We really believe in the live off the floor and capturing the energy of all of us playing together. That's one of the reasons.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's one of the reasons we went to the Warehouse in Vancouver that has an incredibly huge, beautiful live room that could really support the big sound of the band,
There's just something about, those classic rock recordings that, of course it's about the instruments, and yes, of course about the unbelievable songs, but also these guys, they got into a room together, they practiced their asses off. Mm-hmm. And then they went into the studio and they played it as a band, and that has a certain sound. We always kind of strive to get to that level, which is it's a harder thing to do than just recording track by track and you get everything perfect. It's like get into a room and just play together, capture that. There's magic in there.